So I'm going to check out a bunch of DJs. Oh cool, I got a hoodie. Got some packages in here. Okay. When I'm in my car and I'm going places, sometimes I listen to music and sometimes I don't. The reality of it is that I listen to so much music that sometimes it's nice to just sit in the peace and quiet. That isn't always the case. I remix every song that I play just because I'm weird and I like the volumes to be a certain way, and I like to have them EQ'd a certain way, and stuff like that. So I hear the songs probably 5-6 times at a minimum in that remixing process. Then when I make a mix, I hear the mix when I record it, and then I edit the video, so I hear the mix a second time. And just for good measure, before I send the mix to the radio station, I usually listen to it for a third time. And that's just me as a person. I hear little mistakes, and then here lately I have to make the decision if I go, well, does the little mistake that I experienced at the time I was recording the mix, and sometimes it's just in my head, you know. Like singers and rappers they don't fall off beat, but their timing isn't perfect because they're human beings. And so when you're blending two songs together, that slight change in timing makes me feel like I didn't mix the records right. And so when I listen back to it that third time, I'm just kind of listening to it, you know. And if something doesn't jump out at me, then I go, well, it's okay. I didn't really notice it. You know, look at these two. Indiana folks right there. Anyways, I just you know, when it comes to DJing and what we do and stuff, I think people think we just like play songs and hit buttons and stuff, and then sometimes unfortunately people get frustrated because it's kind of cutthroat. It's competitive because everybody wants to be a DJ, and there's only so many spots where you can actually DJ at. And so, you know, there's a lot of competition, and so there tends to be like, well, you know, if you want to hire that guy because whatever, he does this wrong or he does that wrong. And so that isn't always the case. Sometimes we're cordial to each other, and usually what you'll find, and I don't want to say it's like a clique, but it's like you have like 3 or 4 people that you're cool with, maybe 5, 6, 7 people, and you guys just kind of look out and you say, oh, hey, I heard so and so you got Thursday night open. I heard so and so needs somebody on Thursday nights, or okay, so they're changing formats. How about you try this on Friday nights? How about you try this on Saturday nights? And so and then it's the I don't know, that's the positive thing, and then you just kind of stick to that circle. I've never really I'm in a unique space by myself in the sense that I'm friendly with a lot of people, but everybody just assumes that because of who I am or whatever I've done in the past on the radio or whatever, that I'm DJing every weekend. The reality of it is that I did all that stuff, so I don't mind staying at home. I don't mind, but I do miss going out and listening to music and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll do this thing where I'll go visit all my DJ friends and watch them DJ and support them and what they're doing. So tonight's going to be one of those nights. I knew earlier today I wasn't going to be able to sit still. And so I'm gonna do that. Just go hang out and do some stuff. So normally what we do is just talk. So, and then I go through and I don't edit anything out. I just, kind of clean it up a little bit. But
yeah.
So let's start with you. Toby wasn't able to make it today because he's got a DJ.
Where?
I think he's doing a private event. So we scheduled this. I think it was like, I don't know, because I sent him the thing. He said, well, I'll try to be there and set up ahead of time, but he can't make it. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you're up to right now, and then we'll circle back and talk about how you got started.
Okay. Name is Kenya Harvell, aka DJ Fury. I do a couple of different spots. Right now, I am at the Garage. I am at Four Winds, New Buffalo. We were doing Four Winds, South Bend, but that got closed for the season. So there's other places that I've DJ'd at. Every so often I do a gig at Matey's in Michigan City. I'm at Waterford Inn here in LaPorte. I'm just all over the place.
Cool. And so take us back, like how did you go? For me, I grew up as all this stuff was kind of developing. Mm-hmm. So because I liked music, and back then music was on vinyl, and then we played the music, and I was into breakdancing, and then rap was just coming out, and DJs were just kind of in like, as we know DJing nowadays, that was all starting in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
And so just because I was attracted to different things and I enjoyed certain things, it just was like a natural progression. And then one day I grabbed a record and tried to scratch it. It sounded like scratching on all the other records. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
And then I listened to some DJs that had mixed shows on the radio in Chicago, and I was like, oh, I need to figure out how to do that. But it went from like me just kind of doing stuff in my bedroom to having a gig somewhere. Pubwood is where I DJ'd at. And then that went to me DJing in bars and clubs, and then eventually I DJ'd in arenas and all that stuff. But it was basically the same thing. So what was your journey? How did you, what was the first time you're like, oh, I might want to learn how to do this?
So my best friend, Eric Oskoyak, shout out to DJ Relevant, he downloaded a program. It was called PC DJ Red. And this is at the time this is like the time of the internet where, what was it?
That was like the Napster days.
Yeah, Napster and whatever the other program was where you could like download music. Like everybody was downloading music and downloading stuff.
LimeWire.
Yeah, LimeWire. That's what it was. Everybody was like downloading. It was like YouTube before YouTube for music. And everybody's like doing all this downloading and stuff. So he's downloading stuff and I'm downloading stuff and I mess with the program and we both get like really good with it. So there's a time where we're at a bar. I wasn't with him, but he was at a bar and the DJ either quit or something happened. He couldn't make it. Well, Eric breaks out his computer and starts playing, and he gets a night at this place way back in the day called Sports Page. I don't know if you remember that in Granger.
No, because there was a lot of you guys when you were DJing locally. That's at a time when either I kind of retired from DJing or I was out of town doing stuff. I don't remember.
I get that.
Go ahead.
But yeah, he started. We started messing with that. He got that gig at at a sports page, and he went out of town. So he was like, hey, I need you to cover a Friday and Saturday for me. And I was like, okay, cool. That was one of the best Friday, Saturdays I've ever had in my life, because this place was filled with people. And I'm at an age where everybody in there is of like around the same age, so we listen to all the same stuff. So like anything that I throw out there, didn't matter what it was, it went over like super heavy. And I just, from that moment on, I just started taking more and more steps towards DJing. There was like a couple of times where we worked together, but there was this one time in particular, we worked at this place on Western Avenue. It was called Power Break and Spring, and the radio would be on. So a song would come on, and we would play like this game. He was like, so what would you mix with this song? And he would say this, and I would say that, and then we're both sitting there like,
So you guys were the original back-to-back guys, huh?
No, I wouldn't say the original back-to-back guys. That's like the nice side of me. The real cocky side of it is like, that was like the Daft Punk of 2023.
Yeah. Now I remember that. I remember. So are you? Well, let me. I'll share a little story in a second. But so are you? Where did you grow up? Was it in the Granger area?
No, I grew up in South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. No, I remember two things. Like I DJ'd high school dances.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time that I DJ'd for people, it was like a DJ battle at my high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really fun. But then I remember like the first time I DJ'd at Pebblewood. And I had DJ'd some other places too.
Mm-hmm.
But the first time I DJ'd at Pebblewood, like it was just jam-packed. And like you said, like when it's people don't understand, like when there's a lot of people there, it's more fun, because you really kind of you're inspired by the energy and the vibes, right?
Yes.
So like if you play a song and they're vibing off that song, you're immediately like, oh, let me think of the next song, and it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. But I also know, like, I think now they call it back to back when people do festivals and stuff, but I think DJs have always done that.
Right, it's just never had like an official name.
My friend Icon and I talk about it a lot, but we were really, really close. And when I first started DJing publicly and stuff, he was a very good friend, and we always talked and collaborated and did a lot of stuff together. But he had to DJ at a place in St. Joe called HI's, and he ran the lights, and there was another DJ there, and that DJ went out of town, so he's DJing. He said, I'm DJing if you want to swing through. And then we had a record store at that time. There was another guy by the name of Andy. I forget. I think his name was like Andy DJ Evil or something. He was from South Bend. And Andy swung through too, but it was like he would mix a couple records, and then we were a little competitive. I was like, oh, okay, the energy's here. Well, now it's my turn. Let me
up it up a little bit more.
And we just kept going back and forth through the three of us. We just took a turn, and we'd mix like 3 or 4 records, and we'd get real excited, like, get out of my way, I'm going to play this next record.
Right.
And that was the most fun. And people came up to us afterwards, and they're like, we've never been here, and it's been this hype before. Never.
Yeah.
So, and when it's a weird thing to experience that, because you only have to experience it once, and then you want that every time.
Yeah, it's like, there it is.
And you're just chasing after the rest of the time. It's kind of like golf, right? Like you get one good hit, and then you're like, then you spend the rest of your time trying to chase after that hit, and you'll hit it again. But yeah, it's fun.
You just got to develop your swing.
So so you guys would listen to the radio and try to think about that. And so how do you what is your, like, when you get ready to play? Because I remember it wasn't that long ago, I was talking to Slice, and Slice is a very good friend of mine from way back in the day, and Slice was like, we should go check out Edgewater. He goes, I think I'm going to go. I'm going to support my friend, and he mentioned you. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And
he actually bailed on me that night, which was funny. But I said, well, I'm gonna go. I was like, Slice, you coming? He's like, nah, man, my girl's here. I'm chilling. So I was like, all right. So me and my wife, maybe my wife came. I can't remember. We came out, and no, it was my wife, because I was going, he's pretty good, you know. And but a lot of times I like to go out, and I don't DJ in public that much anymore. But I do enjoy listening to music and seeing how the crowd responds, and that was fun. And I just remember I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he's a pretty good DJ, and I was like, And then I went to Grind. I think the second time I heard you, Grind was at the Garage.
Yeah, we were doing
you guys were like
an
doing
EDM show,
an EDM night. Yeah. He was like, you should come, and I was like, okay. And then when I got there, I was like, oh, hey, there's Fury again.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is how you, and I'll get to the question in a second. One night you're at Edgewater playing a certain type of music, and then at the Garage you're playing a completely different type of music. And then when I checked you out here in LaPorte, you weren't playing different music, but it was like I could see that, like, you, well, I don't know how to word it, like it seems to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you're very comfortable playing house, you're very comfortable playing hip hop, you're very comfortable playing, like, you're just open format maybe, but maybe, I don't know, what's your philosophy on that stuff, and why would you change what you play when you play, and how do you know what to play, and what's your process to set up for that?
As a DJ,
yeah,
we have to go out, and for me, you have to actually look at people and figure out what it is that they want. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's when request comes into play. You get a couple of requests and it's just like, oh, I want to hear this, I want to hear that. Okay, cool. So if they want to hear this, they're going to like this. They're going to like this, they're going to like this, they're going to like this. And that's what I go off of. And then I've played at places before, so I know different people go to different places. So I know that, you know, when I go to the Garage, I can play like this. When I go to Edgewater, I play like this. When I go to Waterford, I play like this. When I go to Michigan City, or I'm sorry, not Michigan City, but Mady's, I play like this. And part of that is why I'm so comfortable with doing that is because I like all kinds of music. It's a challenge for me to mix like certain things. So for me to mix those things together, it's really fun for me. So like, for example, things of what it is that you wouldn't think that would go together work very well together. So like, for example, the song Pour Some Sugar on Me, I mix it with Young Jock Going Down.
Okay.
And when you hear that, it's just like, it's two different genres. Like, how does that work? But then you hear the mix and it's just like, oh.
So you might know more than me, and so do you mix harmonically too, or are you just like the way it sounds? Do you go by ear and go, oh, that goes good together, or are you one of the people that sees what song the key is in and try to?
For the most part, I didn't really get into the key of songs until like maybe like 2 years ago.
Yeah. So
before, I was just mixing songs and it sounded good, it was gold, and I did it. So like when, let's say when James Brown was doing his music, and he would tell, you know, like the trumpets, hey, I need you to play like a double time here, or the drums to do, you know, a single time here. And bandmates were like, that don't work right. That doesn't work right, you know, musically. Well, he would pop up and be like, so does it feel good? And everybody's like, yeah. Does it sound good? Yeah. Never mind what works, what you think would work, you know, musically. This is what we're doing for my sound. And that's what I do for my sound, is just because you think on paper that, you know, it's not going to work, on my paper, I'm going to make it work.
I have a very Chicago influenced style of DJing, and so when I DJ on the and especially when I DJ live, I'm in your face, like it's nonstop, high energy.
Yep.
And I remember when I first, we used to call them the ministers. When I first went to Grand Rapids to DJ, they were trance DJs.
Mm-hmm.
They wore black. And there was, and I ended up being a reporter for DMA. DMA was a magazine that had, this is a long time ago, but it was Dance Music Authority is what it was. It was a magazine, and they had charts, and and these guys, if it was on the chart, they'd play it. If it wasn't on the chart, it was garbage.
Yeah.
But that's not how we do things in this area, and I think it's because we're so close to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But there are songs that people like just because they hear it. But they were really big on mixing in key. And I always waited for the break. And this is, now they make the songs, they put the breaks in there on purpose. Back in the day, you used to have to find a break or get a remix for a break or something like that. But I would cut right to the break, mix in another song, drop. Well, they wanted to mix in key, and they wanted the transition to be almost like sneak up on you, and I was like, nah.
Right.
And they were like, no. And then the other thing too was, so they would even give me a hard time. They were like, how could you go to this song right after the other song? They're not even close. And the funny thing is when they were telling me that, I would kind of do the same thing. I'd go by how it felt to me. And for me, the abrupt change is what brought the energy, because people were like, oh, okay,
right,
oh, okay, but they never got that. And when they DJ'd, a lot of times it was like, I think another song's coming. I'm not sure what it is. Oh yeah, this is another song, and I was just like, well, that's their style. That's fine. I'm not talking junk about them, but I just remember them giving me a very hard time about that. But when I was a kid, I took band. I know about the circle of fifths. I could mix harmonically if I want to, and even though I have that knowledge, I probably wouldn't do it anyways. Fast forward, this is when I was DJing back then, it was just vinyl. Yeah. So they would have to hear by ear and guess what key things would be. But now we have the Camelot, and then you can actually put it in the actual key, so you know that this is in G minor, and you know that this is in whatever key it's in. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of fun, and I notice a lot of DJs when they do mashups, they pick two songs that are close to the same tempo and the same key, and they just mash them up. And sometimes it works great, but sometimes it doesn't. But man, to have just one song go into another or something that just fits. Yeah.
Right.
We did that. I produced a song called Falling, and my son was with me, and I had this little vocal loop, and the vocal loop was in the same key, and I was like, it's missing something, and he just walked up to the computer and changed the pitch of the vocal, so it sounds sped up. It's not sped up. It sounds like I took an old record and sampled it and then sped it up to meet, because I think that song's like 125 beats per minute. And then I was like doing the math in my head. I was like, it's technically not in the right key. And he said the same thing. He said, does it sound good? Yep. I was like, yeah, it sounds real good. It sounds real good. I said, that's it though. And he was like, okay. And then even when I tried to adjust the pitch so it was in key, it just didn't sound as good. There was something about it being a little bit off that just made it sound right. Exactly. Yeah. So cool stuff. So when you go to when you think of that stuff, how does that pop into your head? Like, what was it like? You're like, because for me it's like I'm playing one record and somebody comes in, you gotta play it now, and you're like, well, I could mix it in, and then you mix it in, and you're like, oh, that goes well together, and then you remember, or are you like a mad scientist going, pour some sugar on me, it's going down? Like, how do you approach that?
It's a little bit of both. Yeah. So there's some people out there, and I'm not certain if they are DJs or not, but they pick up on like the BPM of where I'm at, and they come at me with requests of like where I'm at. So for the most part, I go around, or I go all over the place. My favorite BPM is like 100 or like 128, and some people pick that up I don't know if they know what they're doing or what, but some people do, and then some people don't. And so I have to dissect and think, like, if I do this and move this around, I can get this song in, just stuff like that. But for the most part, if it's right around that rhythm, I'll throw it in there. If I need to change it up, I'll just throw whatever request in there and go from there. But yeah, to answer the question, I do, like I said, it's just a little bit of both. Sometimes there's stuff that I do get a request and I'm just like, that was a good one, or I'm at home practicing and I'll leave it in a standby file. It's just like, play these two together. And I know because I left it there specifically before I went out, and I'm like, okay, put these two together and see how it goes. Yeah, it's a lot of trial by error too, because some people will feel it and some people won't, but for the most part, people do.
Yeah, cool stuff. And so, how do you feel like? So you're DJing in multiple venues and in multiple cities. And it sounds like, and you can correct me, did that sort of thing happen organically? Like a friend of a friend, or they said they need somebody, or do you actively go out and be like, hey, I DJ?
Yep.
Yeah.
No. So it's just a progression of how things have gone for me. There was a bar that I DJ'd at in Mishawaka, South Bend, whatever, called Riverside. I DJ'd there for, I want to say, maybe a year or two, and we had a parting of the ways, and I sat down for a little bit, and then something else opened up, and that's just how it kept going. I was at one point in time doing an 80s, 90s night at Mitch's in South Bend. COVID comes in, kills all that. And then COVID kills all that. And then I start back up. I want to say it was 2022 back in Michigan City. And then I actively was pursuing Garage. They were going through a managerial thing where I talked to somebody, slipped through the cracks, whatever else, and then I got in there, and I've been there. I don't even know how long. I want to say it's been a year, and I love that place.
It's a nice. I have beef with Garage, but then somebody told me about the management change. But I think when I was there, it was the other management.
Yeah.
And so it would make sense that there would be a change. Yeah, it was crazy. I was there. So I sent them. So I was like, I want to. Here's what happened. Strychnine DJ'd there. Well, there's a couple things. One, I stopped DJing for a while. Then my kids grew up, moved out of the house. I ended up getting divorced. So now I'm just sitting around the house, and I was like,
Gotta do something.
So I get some turntables out, and I go, man, And I was like, I wonder what they're doing nowadays. And I'm checking out what they're doing. I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, cool. And then just a weird. It's funny because I've gone through that thing where you DJ at one place and then all of a sudden it kind of grows.
Yeah.
And that's a sign that you're a good DJ. But I'm on my third or fourth run, and now I'm like, no, I can't. I'm gonna be out of town. I'm like, if you go through that run about 3 or 4 times, you're just like, it's cool. But I remember probably around 2016, I got a bunch of equipment, and I saw some DJs streaming, and I was like, oh, that might be cool. And I did all that stuff, and then COVID came, but Strychnine was at the Garage, and so I said, well, let me go see what he's doing. I haven't seen him DJ in a while, and I Strychnine like me as a turntablist.
And I saw him last night.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I saw him last night at McCormick's.
Oh, was he? Yeah. They've been there a long time. I remember when has it always been called McCormick's?
I think it was like Coney Island or something.
Yeah. I remember. He was there a while ago. They've been going in and out of that place for a while, but so I checked him out. He's DJing, and I was like, this is cool. All these video games. This is a cool spot. It wasn't that busy because they were just kind of getting started. Mm-hmm. And then I just liked the video games. And then I was dating a woman I was dating. I was like, let's go to this place. They have like video games and stuff. And we went in there, and they had a different DJ, and it wasn't that busy. And I was like, oh man, you know, if they were to do something consistently, this place would be packed. And they would have like folk singers one weekend, and then they'd have a DJ, and then they'd bring in a country band, and the next weekend they'd bring in like a rock band, and they'd do like karaoke, and they still switch it up a little bit. So I said, boy, let me reach out to him. I sent a resume. I went in there, and they emailed me, and he goes, yeah, we'll fit you in the schedule. And I said, cool. And then I got an email probably a week later. And the guy goes, hey, what are you doing this Friday? And I was like, I'm not doing anything. He's like, somebody canceled. Can you come DJ? I said, sure. I DJ'd. I put it on social media that I was going to DJ. And a lot of people that remembered me from back in the day showed up. And we happened to have a somewhat decent crowd there. And the guy was like, okay, cool. And then he paid me. And he goes, we'll definitely get you in the schedule. I said, cool. Well, it was last minute. He said he was going to pay me a certain dollar amount. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, cool. I said, that's fine. And I DJ. But when I got there, I realized I had to bring my speakers because they didn't have speakers back then. I had to bring my own stuff. And I was like, man, this is a lot of work. Yeah. So then the second time, he put me on the official schedule. He said, well, I got a spot next month. You can come in this date. Is that okay? I said, cool. So now I posted on social media. And I'm like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. I DJ that night. It is packed. It is like this. This was before the remodel. Yeah. It's like this.
Yeah, because like there's like all those games that were over there. They're not there anymore.
Yeah. It was like this. You couldn't move in there. They hadn't opened up to the outside, although they probably could have. I don't remember what time of year. It was towards the end of summer. But college was back. There was all these kids from Notre Dame and St. Mary's and stuff. I mean, it was wall to wall. It took you like an hour to get to the bathroom. So I go down to the guy, and he gives me a check. It's $50 short of what he offered me the first time. And I said, I thought you were going to pay me this much. And he just like yelled at me. He was like, I don't understand why I would have to pay you more money. I was like, no, that's what you paid me the last time. He goes, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, well, I just thought you would. And he got mad, walked away from me, and grabbed $50 out of the cash register because that's the difference. And he handed me a $50 bill. He goes, I'm not rewriting the check. And I never heard from him again. And then they did like karaoke for a while. And I went in there a couple of times. I was so mad. I was like, oh, this place. I did. Well, okay. And then sometime later, people they started having DJs, and they kind of changed the format. So I'm really glad that they have like you there and Grind there, because I went there. It was not the greatest, but
yeah. And I don't know, like that was current management or previous.
It was previous. It was a long time.
Okay, yeah, because
we can talk about it after when we're done recording.
Yeah.
But no, I just it was funny. It was real funny. But so I forgot what we were talking about. We were talking about the garage. So you actively went into the garage.
You're talking about multiple venues.
Yeah. And then, but where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Like, what's your goal? What do you want to do?
5 years from now, I've always wanted to do, like, if I could do just one night at even just like almost like a rinky-dink bar in Chicago. Yeah. Just one night, I'm cool. I don't have to, have, all the lights and be the best of the best, in, Northwest Indiana. I don't want that. I want to have fun. I want to, help my friends along the way, and I just want to just be cool. That's all it is. It's all about having fun and making music and just doing a good job.
Yeah.
That's all what it is for me.
So what do you think would be, I already know the answer to this question, but your take might be different. Why Chicago? Why would you want to go there?
It's just one of the beacons of, music in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying it's the top. I'm just saying it's local. Now, if something were to happen and I were to able to expand and go to other big cities and play, I wouldn't turn it down. But I've been to Chicago and I've seen the bars that are there and I've seen the DJs that work there. And I know that I can do not exactly what they do, but I can do something like what it is that they do. Mm-hmm. And it would just be fun for me to just try it and have that one night.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things that's fascinating to me too, our area is, we gotta be careful ever since the October London, he said South Bend's not musically inclined, everybody got mad, but that's not what he meant. He's saying that South Bend isn't known for music.
No, it's not.
It's not. We don't have we do, but we don't. But anyways, you gotta be careful. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but like,
I don't care about that.
What I noticed when I DJ in a larger city, I'll give you an example. When I was in Buffalo, New York, they gave me a 12-inch. It was, and at the rate back then, the radio stations got the music a week or two before it was out. Mm-hmm. They gave me a 12-inch. It was a song by some Canadian dude who did reggae. Nobody ever heard of him, and it was Sean Paul, Get Busy. Mm-hmm. And so I heard the record and I listened to it and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I had to DJ that night, mm-hmm. right? I DJing here locally, I've never experienced this before. So back up to my Pubblewood days and when I DJ'd in clubs in this area, I would get a song and I was like, this is a banger.
Yeah.
But I had to sit on it for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month, maybe even 2 months. Because if I played it too early, they're like, what's this? Because back then people would have to hear it a couple times. It would have to, because they couldn't they couldn't listen and just go, oh, this is a good song.
And that was like his first single, right?
That was his,
that first big single that, went nationwide.
So I have the record, and I was like, well, I'm going to start playing it on the radio. Mm-hmm. And so my plan, and I was so trained by people in this area, I was like, well, I'm going to play it on the radio for a couple weeks, and then see. If somebody comes to me and says that they want to hear it, then I'll play it. And another thing I used to do back then is I would like sandwich it between 2 real popular songs. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'll just leave it in the crate, and see how it goes. Well, I'm DJing. I get the record that day. I'm DJing live on the radio, but in a nightclub. Mm-hmm. That's all they asked for. It's all they asked for. They're like, you got that new Sean Paul? And I was like, how do these people know what it is?
Yeah.
It just got shipped.
Yep.
And I was like, and I played it, and they were losing their minds. I was like, oh, this is different. And I think when you go into cities like Chicago or New York or LA or any one of these bigger cities, even in the little bars, people know. Like they're really there's a certain percentage of the population that love music just as much as the DJs do.
Yeah.
And they want to hear those songs, and they have an ear for what they like, and they don't care if anybody else likes it. They're not waiting to get other people's approval. They're not waiting to see how other people think about it.
Exactly.
They like it.
That's how I am about music too. It's just like, I don't care like if, as a DJ, you have to be impartial with certain things because we're listening to stuff and we're playing stuff like week in, week out. I can sit up there and give a hard take. I am tired of they're not like us. But at the same time, it's a good song. Everybody likes it. I like it. I just don't like hearing it every week. And that's why, like, when DJs, like, you know, they, you ask them to play a song, they kind of make a face. And it's not a thing of is that they don't want to play it, but it's just like, when is something new coming out, so I have to play this all the time. And it's just like I said, I love the song. It's just that we have to listen to it so much. And then when you listen to it for so much time, you get burnt out on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy like how, you know, people can, you know, get that song, because in this area, to me, a lot of people are radio programmed, and you sit up there and we're playing that song on the radio and everybody was hearing it, and so they got a taste, and so then
I've never played it on the radio.
Oh, that's right. But yeah, but
99.1 hands.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
And it's just like, you know, once people get that taste, then everybody is on it.
That is a good song.
Yeah, it is.
When I heard it, I was like, oh, this is over. I was like, oh no. And then to hear his lyrics and stuff, I was like, oh man. And then I was like, I bet you they could play this in the club. I remember listening to it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I bet you they play this in the club. This is a club banger. And but yeah. No, I don't know. I think it's yeah, I said that on one of the other podcasts, how I played back that thing up 6 times in a row back to back. I just hit repeat.
Yeah.
That was back when we had the CD decks, and I just hit, and they screamed every time. We still play Cha Cha Slide and Cupid Shuffle.
I do too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know how old those records are?
Yeah.
So the first time I heard the Cupid Shuffle, I think it was Slice, and he was at the factory.
Oh, wow.
And he played it. It was the Cha Cha Slide came out first. And they used to call it the Casper Slide, and then it switched to Mr. C because he got in trouble with Casper. You can't use that because Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah.
So they changed it to Mr. C, and then Cupid Shuffle was like somebody else going, oh, I can do that. And that was, I think, a couple of years later, like quite some time later. And I was just like, and I stopped playing it for the longest time, and then I went, where did I go? Oh, it was a Benton Harbor High School football game. Like 20, 25 years later, and they were playing it at halftime, and the kids lined up down at the and they're doing it. I was like, okay. And you know, and then when I started DJing again, I said, let me try this, and I play it, and I was like, oh man, they loved it. But some songs are like that.
Yeah.
Baby's Got Back is like that.
Yeah, it's like a timeless classic.
What's funny is once those songs cross over, though, like Baby's Got Back, when it was released, I don't know if people realize this, but Sir Mix-a-Lot, he was big into LA techno, which would be like almost like breakdancing music, but it'd be like the next, just like house music is like built upon disco. That LA techno sound is built upon breakdancing music, right? So, and it's heavily inspired by like Kraftwerk and all that stuff. So he on the album that song was on, he writes a special thanks to Kraftwerk because he called them up and said, "How do you get some of those sounds that you have?" There's a song called Numbers. You ever heard of Numbers?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Numbers is you know that.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So there's a song, when you leave here, Google it or you know, pull it up on your streaming thing. It's called Numbers.
Okay.
And he tried to like copy the sound, and it's and then the beat that he programmed is up tempo Miami bass, LA techno, and then but he used like Detroit techno sounds, and all of these were inspired by Kraftwerk or Africa Bambaataa. Mm-hmm. So if you hear, it's like he was like, man, I grew up listening to Planet Rock. I want to beat up tempo like that.
Yeah.
Miami bass is kind of like this, but I like Kraftwerk. And then he just wrote a rap to it, and he was talking about Baby's Got Back. And if you listen to the lyrics, it's hilarious. But now that's like such a common song. Like little old white ladies are like, I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Yeah. Well, what's it called? obviously you know who Juvenile is, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching an interview that he was giving on Breakfast Club, and one thing that he disclosed on there was a serious consideration that on I think it's like 500 Degrees, his first like big album on Cash Money, he was not gonna put Back That Ass Up on there. And I'm sitting there like, wait, what?
That was not the single for his album. The single was Ha.
Yeah.
It was Ha, and I heard it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of clever because he just ended every sentence with Ha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was hashtagging back then, but it was the same hashtag. But he, yeah, and I played it. And I like the beat. I like Manny Fresh.
Yeah.
Manny Fresh did a record. What's that called? Greg G and Manny Fresh or something like that. It was Craig G or Gregory G or something like that.
Or Craig Sheet.
Huh?
Or something like that. Yeah, I
I remember the record, but he was programming those beats, and yeah, but that was inspired. Like all of Manny Fresh's stuff was heavily inspired in the New Orleans bounce sound.
Oh yeah,
was inspired by a song called Drag Rap by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And that group, one of the members of that group was it was either Andre Harrell or L.A. Reid. I can't remember which one off the top, but it's funny how all that stuff gets recycled.
Yeah, and it just keeps going and going and evolving. And I see a lot of like videos on Facebook where it's like someone of our age and they're with their kids and they're listening to like, you know, this song, oh, this just came out. I'm like, no. This is, you know, a sample from something else. And, you know, it just keeps going and it just keeps going. Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun. I always am surprised, but sometimes I forget like how old I am. And then, but yeah, it's weird to be there. When I used to go to a regular record store, the rap section would be like, before CDs it was vinyl, right? So it'd be like maybe this many records.
Yeah.
The whole store would have records, but it'd be like
it was just this limited supply. Yeah.
And they would mix, and sometimes they would mix it in the R&B. And I remember telling my cousins, they were like, did you hear this song? I was like, no, I don't listen to that kind of music. And then they were like, do you have this song? I was like, no, I don't listen to that kind of music. And I just remember them saying, do you listen to R&B? And I was like, no, I listen to rap, hip hop. And they were like, okay. And then the CDs, they had cassettes. And then when the CDs came along, they'd have a little bit more. You'd almost have to go like, South Bend, Rice's Records was a place, but we had every little town had like a Rice's Records.
There was like Rice's on the west side of town. There was Orbit. They had like a couple of different ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, like every like Thursday I was there because the guy that worked there, he would sell the stuff that he's not supposed to sell until I think like Tuesday of next week.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, if I wait till Tuesday, I could get it for like 15, but like if I want it now, it's like 20. I'm like, just give it to me now.
Yeah. Well, now everything's streaming. I remember we used to when you got promo service, that was an exciting thing, but people were very competitive about getting you'd have to get a record label to send you the song, and they'd just send them to your house. So I used to wake up and there'd be records on my doorstep like this, and I'd just bring them in the house and I'd listen to music and stuff. But it was funny how that was a thing. But now everything is streaming service, and they have the remix services, and it all gets dropped the same day.
Yep.
So it's just like, well, I don't know. I kind of, how do you feel? So did you always, I remember I actually had that PC DJ Red installed on one of my laptops. So I put, but this was before that you could control it. So I remember you could play it and you could even mix the songs, but this was before controllers were invented.
Yeah.
So I had it that long ago, and I DJ'd at a place in Waterville. How do you feel? What controller do you use now?
Right now, I use a Pioneer FLX10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, do you have like a gator bag? Is that for your stuff, or do you have a flight case and you put the flight case in the gator bag, or just your controller?
I just put my controller in my case. It's I can't think of the name of it right now off the top of my head, but it goes right in, has a little sliding thing on it, and I take the top and I usually put it under it because I'm tall and I want to sit up here and lean like over it all night. But yeah, it's a flight case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who had the gator bag there when I swung through over at Waterford? There was a great big. The reason I'm asking is I got the Rain Performer. I have turntables, so my goal is to have turntables and a Rain 72. Just leave that set up in the basement so I could play.
Right.
And then have my Rain Performer. I had a case like you have, but for my Rain 1. But the Rain Performer is a little bit longer.
It's longer. It's more. It's
a little higher
thicker too. Yeah.
And I saw people were going crazy, and they were on the internet. They were talking about these gator type bags. There's a place called Jetpack, and I was just wondering. That's why I asked.
I didn't know because he had Eddie has the Rev 7, so his was in a flight case too.
Yeah, I was like, whose bag is this?
I don't know whose bag. I didn't even see it.
He said it was yours, and I was like, I was going to ask you about it.
Oh, wait, the big black bag?
Yeah.
That is Daddario. That's Daddario's like DJ bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's that? I don't know who.
I can send you. I'll find it on.
Well, I'm just curious if it's good.
It is. I have my mic. I have my wireless mic. I have all my XLRs. I have my headphones. A power strip, like a really big power strip in there. Fits my laptop. Everything.
That big long bag goes in that bag, or
it wasn't a bag. It was like a backpack.
No, there was. Okay, so there's this company called Jetpack.
Yeah.
And they make a backpack, but it's long enough for you to put the controller in. And then also it has a pocket. No. It has a pocket in the front where you put your laptop and your cords and your headphones and all that stuff.
No, like I have
but they're expensive.
Yeah. I have a Daddario bag, but I didn't see one. Like, I must have missed that one.
I wonder if they have one for controllers, too. The reason I said it
probably, yeah, but not the really big ones.
Those flight cases are heavy.
Kind of, sort of. Okay, so with your Rain Performer and a flight case, you're talking about possibly, like 60, 70 pounds that you're carrying. Possibly. Like, the controller I have, the controller itself is like 10 pounds. So
yeah, I got it.
With the case, it's like maybe 40 pounds. So it's really light.
Pablo has like almost like a gator bag.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still has that, but I remember he had one.
Yeah.
And I was like, man. And when I ordered one, I had an Odyssey flight case. And I put my Rain 1 in there, and I was like, this is nice. And then I went to DJ somewhere, and you got, like, there's no easy way to grab it, so I'm grabbing it by the handles on the side. And I'm like this. And my back's sore for 3 days after I do it. And I have a handle right here, but it's only big enough for one hand. And I was like, oh, this is not good. But then now they make them with wheels on the case, and you can pull it like a suitcase almost.
Yeah, I've seen those, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm either going to get one of those that's like a flight case, but those are not cheap. Those are like $500.
Oh yeah, yeah, they're not playing with those.
And then they have another one that's just basically the same thing, but it's just real thick foam, and it's a bag. It's like a gator bag, but they also have backpack straps. I don't care about the backpack.
Yeah,
because that'd be weird. Because the Performer is like, I don't know, it's like this long or something.
It is. It's pretty long. It's
but I have the added weight because of the platters.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like being able. What I do now is I have like if I go out and DJ somewhere, I have all my mobile stuff all packed up in cases and crates, and then if I have to go somewhere, I just grab it. And I even know exactly where to put it in the car because I have a small SUV, so I put it in the back, all the speakers, all the lights, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. So how do you feel? So when you did you have a controller when you first started with PC Red?
No. So just to back up a little bit, I kind of admitted something. When we first started at Sports Page, and Eric remembers this too, because we used his CDs. We had it was a dual CD controller in a sense, where you could put CDs in and you could like kind of speed it up and slow it down a little bit. But that was like the only big feature on it, and that was just enough to get through. So we used that for a while, and then we went to the computer. So we didn't have a controller for that. It was just like, mouse or keyboard with, play and start.
Yeah. I remember that they'd have the dual deck CD player, and they had pitch controls. And then you could did yours have a jog wheel at all or no?
I believe it did.
They were very tiny, and you could like pause it, and it would go and you'd set the cue for the downbeat.
Yeah.
And that would be the cue, and then you go. I remember. Well, it depended. Some people mounted them flat like this because they were 19-inch rack mounts, and some people mounted so then you could hit the buttons like this flat, and then some people put them in an actual rack, and you would hit the buttons like this and do this. Yeah, I remember those. I had one. I can't remember. We were talking about this on the last podcast. I had a Newmark. It was pretty nice. So, what was the first controller that you got?
The first controller that I got was it was the same as Slice's. It was a Newmark NS7 II.
Yeah, those were really popular.
It just felt so good to mix with that. Mm-hmm. And when you would record with it using Serato, the recording level, like just the level in general, was just a lot louder than what Pioneers were. So you were in there like having to like turn it down so you wouldn't, like blare while you're making like your mixes and stuff. But yeah, that NS7 II, it was heavy. But man, I could not get enough of that.
Yeah.
Couldn't get enough of that controller. I was sad because I kind of fell on like hard times and stuff. So I had to sell it. I did not want to sell it, but I had to.
You need to get a Rain 1. Those are a lot. Oh, do you?
I have one. I got rid of it and got the Flex 10.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against it. I like it. I might come back and get it again. If anything, actually, I might just get the Rain 4 instead of the Rain 1. Because that's you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I started off with Tractor products.
Yeah.
When I went with a controller. I had a Tractor controller, and then I had turntables and stuff, but I had a Rain 1. I didn't want, because I'm a turntablist, I didn't want the Rain 4.
I get you.
Then I was like, well, I'm just going to rock this Rain 1, and if this one breaks, I'll just buy another one. Because I loved my Rain 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. It was perfect. Had everything I needed. But then I missed the vinyl a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, maybe I need to get me a Rain mixer. And then, so I have like these turntables and stuff. But the only reason I didn't get it, my buddy had a Rain 4. Shout out to Chris Mark. I think he's in Tennessee now, somewhere down south. But he got a Rain 4 and he loved it. But I don't know, when I found out, I went to Pablo's. He has a Rain 7, or not a Rain, a Pioneer Rev 7.
Yeah.
And I just like to scratch. There's a weird thing for me, because I like to scratch. I DJ'd on turntables for like 20 years. And it just feels, when you have the vinyl under your finger and you have that big platter and the radius, I prefer that.
Yeah, I get you.
So I'm trying to get as close as I can to that. And so when that Rain 1 came out, I was like, oh yeah, this is close enough. But most people, if you're not doing scratching it, you don't need that.
Yeah. I got it because it felt good. It was nice to feel, the movement under your hand. Like you can feel the record slip and, how just easy it was to control. I didn't like the weight of it.
Yeah.
And then also, with the Flex 10, compared to the Rain 1, it didn't have like stem controls like what the Flex 10 does.
Yeah.
So that's like my bag right there. So like once that came out, I traded mine in and got another one, or I got my the Ring one. I traded my Ring one for the Flex 10. But yeah, it wasn't. I didn't hate it.
You could have set it up. Well, it doesn't matter now. You got the Flex 10, but Pablo showed me how you could set up the Rain 1. You just do it in the sample or the piano roll. I think we use piano roll. You could set.
Yeah, you can. But there's like, okay, so for the Flex 10, you can hit like the Shift key and the Q button, and your highs, mid, lows control those. Yeah, you can turn those. You can't do that with the.
You prefer it that way?
A little bit in certain situations. It just makes it a little bit less abrupt, because like you take it right out and it's kind of abrupt to just like fade it out a little bit. It just makes it seem as if like that's like how the song is. Oops.
Yeah. What'd you say oops for?
Just telling a secret.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Trying to keep it. No, I don't think. Well, we were doing that with kills on the actual EQ as best we can.
Yeah.
So that's not real new. Like I remember, I used to drop the bass. So, a very similar thing. Like if you wanted to, like especially with like house music, if I had 2 house records playing, right? This one would just have the break or the intro. This one's got some music going. I know I've got like, I don't know, a good 24 bars before the music comes in on this one.
Yeah.
And I've got this one. So I'm just blending them, drop them on, and I'm counting in my head. And so I'm slowly turning down the bass on this one, or abruptly, and I would kill the bass.
Yeah.
Well, this one still has the kick drum. And this is really good for house music, because some of the records back in the day, they would start with just like hi-hats. So we go, so you could bring that in, and you would turn the highs on this record down, and then when the kick drum came in here, you kill the bass on this one, and then you could slowly fade with like an effect.
Yeah.
And the transition was really smooth, and before you know it, this record is dominating the soundscape, and this one is slowly
like just creeping away.
But what's nice about stem is you could do that. It's a little more clear, because even when you did the kill on this one, it was it just sounds different. You would want to kill the drums, but you were really only killing the kick drum. The highs were still there.
Yeah, they were still there. Yep.
And then if like you would really want to, you could kill the vocals if there were vocals, but most of the time it would be an instrumental. So you go to kill the melody really. And so when you turn down the mids, well, sometimes it would turn down the snares and stuff like that. And then sometimes if you killed the mid and the bass, it'd be.
Yeah.
So it was just weird, but now you can just kill the drums, kill the melody, kill the bass, which is kind of nice. Or use the EQs. I think Don Dees does that a lot. He'll use the EQs for that. And I saw that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I just hit the button. Hit the button, but again, I'm real abrupt.
And it's just like depending upon like which situation that I'm in, I'll do that too. But for the most part, I like to just sometimes just turn it down just little by little and just make it seem as if like that's a part of the song, because for the most part some people just really aren't paying attention. They are, but they're not.
Do you get this? I used to get this all the time when I was DJing a lot on public. They would say, when is this song gonna end? You've mixed like 5 songs in a row. You ever had that?
Yeah, I've had that before, and just some people, like I said, they think it's one big song, but it's just like you've chopped this all up, and it's just like you put all this effort into this for this one person that's not paying attention, doesn't know anything about anything, to like say something that's stupid.
Yeah, I always get a kick out of that. So you said one little thing. You said make music. Is that a goal of yours? Do you have music out?
No. What I'm working on is like beat production. I've done a little bit of it. I got away from it, but I need to get. I'm gonna get back into it. Once I get, gonna get like high MPC 1 plus. Soon as I get that, then I'm gonna start like trying like make beats and see how it goes.
Okay, what kind of beats?
Like hip hop beats, EDM stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. There's I love doing that stuff because I don't know. You could probably relate, but there's stuff inside of you.
Yeah.
And you have to get it out.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the same with like the music. Like you'll have an idea and you have to run to your equipment and go, and then I'll stop what I'm doing. I'll turn off the TV, run downstairs. I may have ADHD too, but I'd run downstairs and then try it, and I go, oh, that's really cool. You know what I just did is, oh no, then I give away one of my secrets. What I just did though is I had an idea in my head, and I was like, I wonder if I just got a new laptop, and it's new for me. Well, it's a new laptop for sure, but it's got an M3 chip on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get it for the podcast actually because it took me forever to render the videos and stuff in 4K. And I was like, I was complaining to my wife, and she was like, just get a new computer. And I was like, okay, I'll get an M2. And but she said she surprised me with an M3.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was nice. And I was like, okay, cool. But I got that, and I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff set up on it. And as I was setting up the software and stuff on there and getting Serato set up and getting a bunch of stuff on there, I was like, I wonder if I do this one thing. And I tried it, and I was like, cool. And then I was really excited to do that. And I realize now, as I say that out loud, nobody knows what I'm talking about. Trust me, just go with it. When we were back in the day, we used to, and you'll hear Grandmaster Flash and stuff talk about this stuff too. They would, and especially Cool Herc, they used to cover up the record labels.
Yeah.
So they would go digging in crates and stuff and find these cool breaks, and they didn't want the other DJs to know what they were, so they would cover up the record labels and stuff. It was really funny. I rename, for the most part, a lot of the edits that I have, I make myself. Mm-hmm. But I have friends that do remixes for remix services and stuff, and they'll send me stuff, and I'm like, save myself a little time.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. Boom. And but yeah, I for the most part, I kind of do it myself. But if I'm playing one of my friends' remixes, I change the entire name in Serato just in case somebody comes on and like, what's this?
Yeah. Well, there's a thing on Serato where you can like block it out.
Yeah. No, I changed the name in Serato. I changed the file name when they send it to me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a Kid Mix edit. But I still edit even their remixes. That's just, I don't know. I'm
analytical about what it is that you do. Yeah, it's just like you want it done the way that you want it done. So this person has done like a little bit of work, just add a little bit more to it.
It's so much easier nowadays. So when I used to DJ, I used to have doubles of every record. Mm-hmm. And so I'd blend this record in. It depends on what the record was and how the song was, but I'd have to blend in this instrumental. So if a song's playing here, blend in the instrumental for the next song, right? Mm-hmm. Transition to this record, it's the instrumental. I have to quickly get the double of this record over here, and then I'd have stickers on it that would take me right to the part of the record where I want. And then I would usually drop it on the one or catch a snare, and I go tap, 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 boom. And then now we're on this record, which is the full song. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want it to play for 4 minutes. So then I had this record, I'd flip it over or have a sticker where the next chorus is at. Yeah. And then I would go, and then I'd have to hurry up and grab the next instrumental all night long. Yeah. It was crazy. It was hard to keep up with. And so I really appreciate controllers and cue points, because now it's just like, what's funny though, I still do it the same way. Mm-hmm. I'll put this one here, and I'll have the cue point on this one. And it's a little easier. I hit the cue point, and then I wait and do it. It's hilarious. I was watching one of my videos to do that. So you want to start making beats. So when you start making beats, what are you going to do with those beats? What's your goal?
Figure it out.
Yeah.
Just figure it out. Oh, my thing is that like I don't have anything set in stone. It's just a matter of if I want to do something, I want to do it. If I want to expand on it, I'm going to expand on it. I'm going to do research to find out what's next, what it is that I can do. If I made set beats, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Because maybe I come up with, like a really, a couple of good like hip hop or EDM beats, and someone wants to do vocals over them, then, we can move forward. But until then, I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna figure it out until something happens.
Cool. Yeah. It's funny how that stuff changes. Is there anything else that you want to share with anybody that you could think of off the top of your head? Was there any specific thing? Because whenever I do something like this, I go, I got to mention this one thing. Is there one thing that you need to mention?
As far as just like,
I don't know, whatever you're feeling.
I just want to give some shout outs to Pablo G, DJ Slice, and I would do this right now. I get like foggy brain. DJ Grind, DJ Breeze. DJ Breeze will be at Garage, I think tonight. Yeah. Shout out to DJ Relevant, Don D's. That's all. Yeah.
Well, we're not done by any means. I still have tons of questions.
Yeah,
I
that's
just wanted
fine.
to give you an opportunity to share anything that you want to share. Well, you mentioned a lot of really good DJs. And there are other DJs that you didn't mention, and I'm not saying they're not good, but in this area. So when I DJ'd back in the day, it was Slice, me. There were other DJs too. Gino J DJ'd a little bit. Palmster.
Oh, Palmer. He's something else.
Isn't he a character?
Yes,
That's one of my favorite guys.
Every time I see him, like, so when's your next gig? He'll leave me a look.
He'll go, oh no. He's retired.
Yeah, he is.
When I run into him, I was like, we need you, man. And he's like, oh no. I was like, come on, man, just one time. He's like, nope. I was like, we need you. And he's like, nope. No, what a character that guy is. I've always enjoyed him.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed him. But it didn't seem like there were that many. Pablo came along later. He was DJing, but I mean, like, when you start DJing publicly, that's what I'm talking about. People that were doing things, publicly. Now it just seems like everybody's a DJ.
Well, that's what happened with streaming services. Streaming services is giving people that freedom to say that, I can put two songs together, so now I'm a DJ. And it's just like, you can sit up there and you can put two songs together, but as far as like going to a crowd and playing to a crowd, do you have that technical aspect to be able to read a room and, throw in, every so often I throw in, a little off-bass song, but it's off-bass song, everybody knows what it is, it's fun. And it's like some people don't know how to do those things. So you can say that you're a DJ, you can say that you can do these different things, but can you really do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I told Pablo, I asked him, I'll ask you the same question, but when I DJ somewhere, which isn't that often, I think I'm only DJing, although I am booking for next summer already, which is surprising to me. But when I DJ somewhere, when I'm done, there's almost this shock, and I'll hear this other like, "You're a really good DJ. You're like a good DJ," and I go, "Thank you." And then they'll just say it, and I'm like, "Okay." And then I did go out somewhere, and there was a guy there. He had a DJ name, and he had a Spotify playlist. And you just see it on his laptop.
I have a story about that.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, that's okay, like, I don't know how when you say something, it almost sounds like we're angry or bitter. The same thing with the vinyl. If I say, I just like vinyl, then they're like, this old DJ does. People are funny. So I DJ on 99.1. I have since way back in the day, right? And, you know, the station says to me, kid, do us a favor when you make your mixes. Don't play a lot of brand new music because we got to program it in the radio station. Could you imagine if I put They Not Like Us in my lunchtime mix, and then they want to play Not Like Us, but now they can't. They've got to wait an hour to play it. So they want the lunchtime mix to kind of be more old school songs.
Yeah.
But you know, people will come up to me and they'll think I don't know what's new. They think I'm stuck. They'll say the wildest stuff. They'll be like, they'll say the wildest stuff. They're like, yeah, I went out to lunch. I'm not going to say where I went to lunch. Let me tell you the story. It's funny, right? It's funny. So a buddy of mine, a real good friend of mine, he's back in South Bend. And I hit him up. I was like, listen, don't make plans. Me and you, I'm taking you out to dinner. No Diddy. And we're just going to hang out and have some fun. And he goes, all right, cool. So I pick him up. And, where do you want to eat? He goes, whoa, blah, blah, blah. I said, I got a spot we can try. I've never been there before, but I've heard a lot of good things. We go in there. And my friend is like, he sees somebody that he knows. It's an OG that he knows.
Yeah.
And he goes, have you ever met Kid Mix before? And the guy goes, that's Kid Mix. Everybody's surprised because, you know, I don't.
Yeah.
Everybody's surprised. They're like, that's Kid Mix. And I go, yeah, that's Kid Mix.
Like, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I get this wild. So he goes, that's Kid Mix. And this just happened earlier this week. And the guy's sitting there and he goes, you know Gino J? And I was like, yeah. And you know, it's like you could see in his eyes, like he's in his eyes, he's like, no, that's somebody, right? That's not Kid Mix, and I don't know. So then he goes on, and he starts talking about people that are stuck in the olden days and don't know what's up, and he's my age, my guy. He's my age. Wearing like gazelles, you know what I'm saying? Like he's
not dressing his age.
He's still like, I don't know. So I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
And then somebody else that's there where we're at starts giving me advice on knowing, you know, you gotta get up on your music. My hard drive, I have everything.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's funny to me, like so that's one component that I always get a kick out of, like people's perceptions and stuff. But at the same time, I don't ever want to be the guy that sees some guy that likes music and is playing a Spotify playlist.
Right.
And they're like, this is all I can do. This is what I want to do. You know, and I'm cool. You have a DJ name. That's fine. You get paid to play some music. That's fine. You made a Spotify playlist. That's cool. But what I don't like is when they come at me a little cocky.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you know, you're playing all this old music on the radio. You just need to, you know, get with the times. And I'm like, dude, I will smoke you.
So this other person, are they doing any gigs?
Well, that's the thing. So me and Pablo had this conversation last time. Like they're doing gigs. Like I could be booked 7 nights a week if I take $50 a night. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I'll be on every flyer. I got called. Well, this is funny. Well, should I say that? I don't. Well, let me think. No, I won't use any names.
No names.
A good friend of mine, very good friend of mine, is DJing. He tells me, I'm not. If you hear, wait, I want to get it accurate because I don't. He says, I'm not going to be DJing at the spot anymore, publicly. Everybody knows he's not going to be DJing at the spot. I reach out to him, and I say, contact this venue. They've been in my DMs.
Yeah.
He reaches out. He's got a night, right? He's fine now. He's got gigs.
Mm-hmm.
But the club that he left contacts me, wants to know my availability and pricing.
This is gonna go.
Wants to know my availability and pricing, and I'm like, before I respond to them,
mm-hmm.
I reach out to my friend.
Yeah.
And I say, hey,
yeah,
I just want, did you quit?
Yeah. Did you get let go? Like, which one is it?
I want to know what's going on,
right?
Right. And he tells me, he was like, no, they just said they didn't need me anymore. And I was like, man. I was like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. They're reaching out to me.
Yeah.
I said, but okay. So then I go, well, you know, because you got to be careful, because what happens is if I take that gig,
mm-hmm.
he doesn't know when they contacted me. He
yeah.
doesn't know, you know, I've been there and watched him DJ there several times.
Mm-hmm.
He might think that the whole time I've been
that
trying.
You're just snaking him.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not that way. So I go, well, how do I do this? So I send them back the information. And I basically said, well, look, for the most part, I'm out of town every weekend. In fact, I think this is the only weekend I'm here for the month of October. Next weekend, I'm going somewhere. The weekend after that, I have to do another thing, and then it's November. And I'm going somewhere in November. So I you know, but you still have to be professional.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, well, these are my dates that I'm available. This is what I charge, and I know it's way more than they're willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way. Whew,
right.
Not that point. But my issue is always when the Spotify playlist DJ, and I've had this happen to me, they'll come up to me like, I'm DJing every night. You're an old timer. You don't know what you're doing. They just have you on the radio because of blah, 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 blah. You haven't played a song that is, you know, every song you play is at least 5 years old.
Okay.
Well, that's the programming of the radio station.
Right.
But I'm sitting there and I'm listening.
But people don't understand that.
But I'm listening to them. I'm listening to them. If you say something to them, but there's times when they like, okay, don't compare yourself. You're doing what you like to do. You're getting paid. I'm happy for you.
Right.
But don't compare yourself to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Well, you can. I mean, if you want to, but I'm not comparing myself to you. I'm just out here living my life, my best life. And I wish you nothing but the best, but like when you get a little cocky, like, you know, it's weird. But anyways, tell me your story about the Spotify.
So it was St. Patty's Day, and this was like 2 years before COVID. I was at O'Rourke's, and they had like a student rock band first, and then I DJed. And while I was DJing, this guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, I'm DJ such and such. I don't even remember his name. And he's talking to me. He's asking me questions. He's like, so where do you get your music from? And I'm sitting there, red flag. Like, red flag. I was like, I get my music from record pools, digital services. He's like, oh, okay. He goes away. He comes back. He's like, so where do you like plug in to, you know, to the system? And I was like, it's right behind me. And I said, yeah, there's 2 XLRs back there. And he's like, what's XLRs? I'm sitting there like cringing. I'm like, are you okay? Did you come prepared to do this event or not?
Oh, was he supposed to be a DJ?
Yeah, he's supposed to play right after me.
Oh, okay.
So he's supposed to play after me, and he's, like I said, he's asking these questions. So right as I stop playing, I'm tearing down. He has a flight case. And I'm like, so what kind of controller you have? Oh, I don't have a controller. I just have a computer. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. So the problem that I'm having is I don't have anything that goes to that. And so I'm like, are you for real? I'm like, so what is it that you're doing? Are you like, how are you like playing? He's like, oh, I got a Spotify playlist. And I'm just like, ready. I'm just like enraged inside of my body, but at the same time, I'm just like, be cool, be cool, be cool. So I'm a nice guy. He hasn't really been offensive, and he maybe is just starting, but it's just one of those things is that if you're going to break into this, you got to be prepared for any scenario. So anytime that I go any place, I always make sure that I know how to hook into the system, if they have speakers, all this other kind of stuff. And what irritates me is that you think you just show up and think that you're Michael Jordan and you're not even LeBron James' son. You know, so he's sitting there trying to figure out how to hook up to the system. Fortunately, they had like a mixer and some XLRs there, and the only thing what it is he was missing was a headphone jack to RCA cable, which I had. I gave it to him. He said, "Hey man, let me get your number so I can, give it back." Just keep it. Just keep it. And that was it. I'm just like, how is it? And I'm like, I go to the manager and I'm like, you know that this guy wasn't prepared for any of this stuff here, like no hookups or anything. And she's like, well, if we'd have known that, we would have just, kept you on. But a lot of the students were clamoring for him to play here. And I'm like, I get it. And then I just went home. But it's just the point of is that irritates me because you've put time in to do what it is that you do. I put my time in, other people have put their time in, and to sit up there and take a title as DJ, that irritates me. It's like a slap in the face almost.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't mean anything.
But now some guys are cool.
Some are.
So I DJ'd an event with Mac Main and Austin Gamage, and he just has a laptop. He doesn't have a controller. He doesn't really mix. He just plays good songs, music that he likes. And I don't know if he had DJ software, but we did at the Morris 100 a couple years back when they had.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, we did the silent disco in front of that. And he was funny. He was hilarious. He was like, hey, man, don't be doing all that scratching and stuff. Hey, man, don't be doing all that scratching and stuff. But he was a good guy. And so, it's weird, you do this long enough, if I say I like peanut butter and jelly, there's somebody that's got like a peanut allergy and they're like, oh, you want me to die? And you're like, no, that's not what I said. We're just,
you're right.
It's just the one thing. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, DJs, that doesn't bother me. It's when they have, they always say stuff. And I don't really judge other people or anything like that. I don't even go, well, I would, I think everybody has done this at some point in time where you'll hear a DJ mix a song and you're like, I don't know if I would have mixed that song with it or something.
No, I've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. And I'm like, let this person be. This is what it is that they're doing. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I had a guy when I was, there was a guy, I'm usually really cool. This is the only time I ever say he comes in, I'm DJing at a club, let's say it's a Friday or Saturday night. I honestly don't remember, but it was my night at this club, big club in Grand Rapids. And he comes up and he was like, same thing. He was like, hey, just talking to me, small talk. And he was like, I'm a DJ too. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm mixing, and it's hard to talk to a DJ when they're mixing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, cool. Hold on one second, and but he's hung out in the DJ booth for like 30 minutes and he's just talking to me and I was like, yeah, cool. Just kind of, I'm not ignoring him, but I got to get the next record right. And he goes, all right, man. He's like, you got this song? And I was like, yes. He goes, you should play it. And I was like, well, it's not the right tempo. Maybe I'll play it later. Right. He said, I'm telling you, if you play it right now, it'll go over big. I'm a DJ. If you play it right now. And I was like, yeah, I am. I thought in my head, I didn't say it to him. I was like, yeah, I'm a real DJ too, Yeah. This goes on. Next night or the next week he comes back. Hey man, what's up? And I was like, nothing much, man. Glad you're here. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming through, man. What's up? And he's like, blah, 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 blah. He goes, hey, I noticed that when you do this, he gives me some advice. He's like, listen, man, you should try doing this. And I was like, cool. Yeah, I guess I didn't think of it that way. hangs out a half hour. I'm trying to mix, you know, and it's always like at midnight, you know, 12:30, you know, when everybody's busy. There, the dance floor is packed, and you know, but really they want to be up there and be a part of it, you know. And he's telling me this stuff. I was like, cool. I gotta get to this mix. There's a bunch of people dancing, so come talk to me later. You know, I'm trying to be cool. He does this for like 6-7 weeks, dude. And he gets a little more aggressive each week, a little more judgy each week, and then I noticed like then he started. It went from like, have you ever thought about doing this? Maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do this. He was like, you're not doing it right, and I was like, okay. He goes, you're not doing it right. If I was the DJ here, I would totally do it different than you.
I pipe in like right then and there, like you're not.
No, listen. I was like, well, I mean, people do. I'm so nice, dude. I was like, well, you know, people do different things, I suppose. You know, there's nothing against that, you know.
Yeah.
And he kept doing it. And then one night, probably like the 6th or 7th week, I couldn't take it anymore. And he was like, if I was the DJ here, I was like, if you were a real DJ, you would be DJing somewhere.
Yeah, like you'd have your own gig, and I wouldn't listen to you like a little dog.
I said, you know what you could do? Why don't you go get a club and DJ there, and you could do all the things that you want to do.
Just named off, yep.
Yeah, I was like, try it and see how it works. But me, I'm a DJ here.
Yep.
And I'm gonna do what I want to do.
That's people, because okay, so even like and it's just like times where like I DJ and I play a song and I'm sitting there looking around and there's people out there and they do like this and all this other kind of shit, and I'm just like, look, I don't heckle you at your job. Whatever it is that you do outside of these walls, I don't know you outside of these walls. Yeah. But I don't come to your job and say, well, you could have did this better, or you could have did this better. So why is it that you have the audacity to sit up there and come up to me and tell me that you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, and you have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
At all.
I'd get a kick out, but now if it's a really good friend of mine, I'm harsh on them. Yeah, I make fun of them all the time. I was like,
we tell each other we're terrible DJs.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you were blending, but it kind of sounded like tennis balls in a dryer. Is that what the syncopated thing? Is that what you were going for?
Is that the new trend?
Oh, the tennis ball. I get more responses. I was like, what are you drying your tennis shoes? You know, and they're just like, it takes them a second.
Yeah, that's what,
because it always, every once in a while, we have sync nowadays, but back in, if it's not mapped right, it'll fall off a little bit too. We used to give each, or sometimes the gain's off a little bit, it'll come in real loud, and whoa, that's startling.
Wake up, hello.
Yeah, give each other a hard time.
And like Grind will show up to an event, I'm playing, and he'll just stand out in the crowd. Boo!
Yeah. Well, kids, you know, I DJ like proms and stuff, and kids, like, if you play a TikTok song, they only want to hear the part that's on TikTok.
Yeah, and you can just skip to the next.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. It's wild. So I had to figure out, I figured out a way, but like, I remember I was like, oh, they're gonna love this, and I played it. They went crazy. They did the little TikTok dance, and they're like, okay.
You're done. Cool.
That's it. And I was like, and it's a short song. The song is only like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. They only want that 15 second or 30 seconds. And I was like, so I hurried up and blended in another song. And I was like, there you go. But it was, it's funny. Yeah. Slice did that one time. Slice and I went somewhere and checked out some DJs. Yeah. And he was a little intoxicated. Slice, this is so funny. I don't know. Wow, he'll yell at me if I'm not supposed to say this, but we all know it's a public place. He walked right up. The DJs like DJing, brand new DJs. I don't think they DJed anywhere public before. Yeah. And they're trying, you know. And he walked up to him and he was doing that. He was like, wow. And he was a little intoxicated. I was like, hey, Slice, come here for a second. And I had to pull him, so I was like, relax, man. He was like, this is garbage. They gotta know this is garbage. And I was like, relax, man, relax. It's okay, man. And they weren't that bad, but you know, it takes time. to develop those skills and stuff. I always think it's funny. Is there anything? What's the funniest thing you've experienced in your times DJing? I remember when I used to DJ, girls would come up and do stuff, or you get to see.
For the most part,
wild and crazy stuff.
Yeah, so like, there's been so many different things. I'm gonna just nail it to one. I did a wedding, and this drunk guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey DJ, come here. I want to talk to you." And I'm like, "All right." Like, he's asking me. He's like, "Hey, so I gotta know if you have this song." And I'm like, "What song is it?" "I don't know the name of it, but it's just a small town." And like, he's,
singing it.
Yeah. He missed the midnight train. He's drunk. And I'm like, "Dude, that's the song that's playing right now."
Oh, yeah.
This is a song that's playing like right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, it's not." The wedding party had to come and get him.
Yeah.
"No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just not the song."
Yeah. I've had that happen too many times. They'll request the song and it's playing. You'll hear it in the background. They'll be like, "Hey, you got that They Not Like Us?" And it's like, dun, dun, dun. The crowd singing A minor. And I was like, "You mean that song where they sing A minor and the crowd's singing it and the beat's going?" They'll be like, "Yeah, that's the one. Will you play it?" And I'm like, "Get out of here."
It's the song playing
right now.
So, and then also people that come up and they request, it has to be played right now. And I'm like, "You take the W off and then leave it alone." They're like, "What is take the W off? What does that mean?" No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it right now. Like, you can ask me, like, I don't come to your place and I don't tell you, what to do. I don't demand anything of you. Don't do that here. If you're gonna ask me something, when I go out and I see a DJ, I'll ask them. I'll like, "If you want to play it, you want to play it. If you don't, it's not a big deal. I just really like this song." That's all what it is. It's a request. It's not a requirement.
Yeah.
And some people don't do that. And then there's some people that they say something to me and they make it racial. I was like, "Oh, you got these white people got you doing this, that, and whatever else." And I was just like, there's a lot of things that go into music that, is all encompassed together. So to sit up there and tear it apart and make it what it is that you want it to sound like or what you want it to be is bullshit.
I get the opposite of that. They're like, "Man, I can't believe you're playing this song, dude. They let you play this?" I was like, "I don't care." But yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I did when I did the Vibe Fest. I showed up. I'm setting up my equipment. I can't remember the DJ's name. And he was like, "Are you the sound guy?" And I said, "No, I'm DJ Kid Mix."
Yeah.
And he was like this, and he goes, "I'm not gonna lie, I thought you were black." And then I was like, "Cool." And I started, I just kind of just like left him alone. But yeah, well, people want to hear their music, and some people are a little more passionate about the music that they want to hear too. But you get that all the time. On funny stories, man, I could do a whole podcast by myself on the funny stories.
I think I could too. I just have to think of them.
I DJ'd at a wedding one time. It was a friend of mine who was, at the time, she doesn't live in this area anymore, but at the time was a principal at a school. Mm-hmm. And she goes, "You DJ," and she was white.
Yeah.
And I don't think it matters, but it was funny because she's very educated. She's doctor, PhD. And so she was like, "I know, can you please DJ?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do it. And she goes, "Okay, thank you." So they had this nice venue. It's in, I think it's Goshen. There used to be a former factory. I forget the name of it, but it was one of those old factories, but it was a beautiful space.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was just perfect for wedding receptions. And they had a separate place for the cocktail hour. They had a separate space. Everything was separate where the food was. It was a wonderful, marvelous place, but it was just a big, empty, old school warehouse that used to be a factory.
Yeah.
And it's in Goshen. Somebody can leave it in the comments because I forget the name. Because right next door was like a train station and stuff. So, anyways, so I do this thing where I send them like a Google form, and if there's any songs you want to hear, when you want to hear them, your first dance, all that stuff, let me know, and then I leave at the end any other songs that you want to hear.
Yeah, or don't want to hear.
And she's got like "Today Was a Good Day" by Ice Cube.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, okay. She had like wild ones too, like straight up West Coast, and there were like some really, there was something by Wu-Tang, and it wasn't like, oh, it was crazy, it was like Cream or something. It was a wild Wu-Tang song. It might have been Protect Your Neck, I don't know, but I was like,
yeah.
I was like, well, I have all these songs, and so I get there. It is everybody there. It's a very formal wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's dressed really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very formal dinner. Very formal is the best way to put it, right?
Yeah. Very upscale.
Very upscale. And then I'm like playing like dinner music, but so I'm playing dinner music, and it's just very elegant.
Mm-hmm.
Very elegant. Their first song was I can't remember, but it was a very sweet first song, and they dance, and then I start to bring some people out to the floor. We're playing the wedding music. People are having a good time.
Yeah.
About 11 o'clock hits.
Yeah.
And she's had a couple of cocktails, and she goes, I don't know why she was throwing up the West Coast dub, but I feel like she was doing this.
Yeah.
You gotta play my music. And I was like, okay, relax, Laura. We're gonna play it.
Laura.
That's really your name. Laura, calm down. We're gonna play it. And so I think I played You Can Do It by Ice Cube.
Yeah.
And she's dancing. All of her friends are going wild. I was like, okay, all right. They're like in tuxes, very formal wear, And I was like, well, let me try Snoop. I dropped Snoop and Dre, and I was like, oh, okay. So I'm playing like old 90s, like West Coast hip hop and stuff. They're losing their minds. But at some point, I look out of the corner of my eye, and she has left the dance floor, and she's up against the wall, and she's got her hands against the wall, and she's just twerking.
Yeah, she's going at it.
And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And I think I had to stop DJing at like midnight. So now it's like 11:45, and she's just going to town. And then the whole dance floor goes over to the wall by where she is, and then her like bridesmaids are like twerking on the wall. And it's like, all right, we're gonna end on a high energy note. That's fine. That's fine. And then I'm laughing. I think I got on the mic and said something funny, and I was like, this is what I call a reception or something. I said something funny. Mm-hmm. Everybody's having a good time. And then her and her friends kind of have like a twerk battle. Laura was playing to win. Laura, I saw that look in her eye like, this is my day. This is my day.
Yep.
No.
This is not second place.
She turns around and puts her hands on the floor and like does a handstand up against the wall. Her feet are up against the wall. She's twerking upside down like this. And I was like, I haven't seen that in the clubs.
Right.
She's in her wedding dress, my guy.
Yeah.
Her dress is coming down.
Yeah.
But you couldn't really see anything. But I was just like, I was like, wow, this is wild. Wow. And I just remember when I left, I laughed so hard. The whole ride home, because Goshen's kind of far away from where I was living at the time. I was living in Michigan. I just laughed. I said, man, Laura's a G for that. I got nothing but love and respect for Laura. That's hilarious, Dr. Laura. But there were so many instances like that were fun. I thought girls would always flirt with you too, but I was always married, so I avoided temptation always. Mm-hmm. But they'd do something, and I would go, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Just leave me alone. And then I was just like, whatever. But then, they didn't like that. And so they would do more, and it was always wild. But, so what about, you mentioned that you do streaming services, you want to make your own songs. You seem pretty knowledgeable. Is there anything, a hobby that you like to do outside of DJing?
That involves like music or anything?
Anything.
I like playing video games. I like watching YouTube. I watch like videos. I do like research on different controllers and new like speakers and things like that are coming out. I'm a really big sports guy, so I talk the best to some of my friends about sports. Like even like walking in, this guy, he's like, "Hey, what happened to your team?" I was like, "Oh, nothing. They just waited until the second half to score."
Yeah.
So yeah, I watch TV. I listen to a lot of music. I watch a lot of movies. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What video
basic.
games do you like to play?
RPGs, sport games, shooters.
Yeah. What's your favorite right now?
My favorite video game, like of all time?
Yeah, well, sure.
I would have to say, this is going to show my age. There's this game, it was on the Super Nintendo, it's called Chrono Trigger. And it's this game where you have to go back in time to try and kill something that is going to obliterate the world. In a nutshell, there's like a bunch of different games that I like, but out of all of them, like that's the one that really resonates with me the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I my kids growing up, we always played video games. I really enjoyed it. Well, I got them into it actually because I was a gamer too. I used to do a lot of PC games back in the day, like Unreal Tournament. And
you say Unreal Tournament?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I used to do that a lot.
I used to play. It was like 1 and 2.
What was the one? There was another one right before Unreal Tournament too that was very similar to Unreal Tournament. We used to play all the time.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah. Well, it was fun because you could refresh my memory. Couldn't you turn off? Oh, Quake.
Quake.
You used to play Quake a lot too.
Yeah, I played that.
Quake was a lot of fun. Yeah. But I mean, I go all the way back to like the first video games and arcade games. I actually am old enough to have been at a real deal arcade where you put quarters in and play the video games, kind of like the garage.
Yeah.
When those games first came out, I was like a kid, but I was like playing those games. It was a lot of fun.
Before we got into the music, me and Eric, we would go to, I forgot what the name of it is now. This is place called Putters that we used to go to.
Yeah.
We would go to like all these other different places, like even the mall. And Eric was like a lot better at the fighting games than I was.
Yeah.
And so it didn't matter if it was like Killer Instinct or it was Mortal Kombat 2, especially Mortal Kombat 2. Like people would step up and he'd just let them out of business.
Yeah, my cousin, we used to go to the arcade and he would play Mortal Kombat a lot, and he was a lot. I wouldn't play against him because he also played track and field. He did the thing where he had like a little comb.
Yeah.
And he would like put it on his hand and he'd go. Oh, we would play for hours, dude. I remember those days. So now, well, I think we're probably going to wrap up pretty soon, unless there's anything else that you want to mention. I do want to let you know that I'm glad that you were able to make it today. I was very excited.
Yeah, I was excited to be here too.
Yeah, and I really appreciate what you're doing, and you're a really good DJ. So I appreciate that, and I've watched you DJ a couple times. But like I said, when I go out, I just want to see what music's played and how people respond to it and stuff. But I'm trying to think if I have any more questions for you. I can't think of anything really. I'm sure it could probably 2 seconds after we stop recording.
That's usually how it is. It's just like, oh, daggone it, I should have asked about.
Yeah. I'm trying to be better because I noticed, like, I watched the first couple of episodes of the podcast and stuff, and then I get so excited, I start jumping in and start telling my stories. I was like, oh, I asked this guy a question and I didn't let him finish answering it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's always fun. But so where are you going to be at next? What's your schedule like?
So I want to say I have a wedding Sunday or tomorrow. And then next Friday I am at the garage. Next Saturday I am going to be at Four Winds, New Buffalo, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on out, check it out, have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Well, we'll just end it there.